All right, everybody, welcome to this video, and this one is going to be an extra special one, something we have never done before for the live viewing audience on YouTube.
We've never done this before at all, ever.
We do this on the regular. What are you talking about?
Oh.
We are right here for the first time creating this video that you're watching right now for the first time, but what we are going to be doing actually is reviewing a video that was sent in to us via Patreon. For those of you that are kind of on the fence or you're needing help with your training, you're going to get to see firsthand what this process looks like. Now, if this is your first time to our channel, folks, do us a favor, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Now let's get started. We have a lady that said, no problem, go ahead and show this. And in this training session, she's working through formal retrieving work. And I wanted to use this video specifically because it showed a lot of really great things that we talk about on the regular basis, as well as we are working through Legend's formal retrieving work, and he is doing a really good job, and I thought this played right into some of those videos. So we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to talk about what she's doing right, what she's doing wrong, when she should be doing things or not doing things, and go from there. All right, follow along. Okay, so first of all, I want to say right off the bat, she did a fantastic job with this table. The thing is legit.
Yeah. She put the time in. And she's lifting the dog up onto the table, which is something else that we talk to people about.
Don't allow your dogs to jump on and off the table. This will become very important at some point in time in your process. Good. So she's doing a little quick walk up and down the table. This is a great way to get started.
Just a little refresher from previous step, feeling comfortable on the table before moving on to new things.
And so that everybody's aware, what we're working on today, what she's going to be working on, is just some fetch work. This is where she's been struggling a little bit. And this has been, this is the kind of thing, she's been recording every session and then sending me ones that she's struggling with. And this is what we kind of recommend. She gets to watch them back herself, as well as, and then kind of evaluate her own training session. And then when she's really struggling with something, sends them over so that we have the opportunity to look at it and review. And a retrieving buck, that's perfect.
Clipped up, which is important to keep them stationary at one end of the table when you're working on stuff like this.
We're going to hook up that tow hitch. And so far, that all looks really good.
Yep.
Those tow hitches can be a little bit tricky sometimes. I usually end up having to start over, undo it all, work it back in, then run it through the eyelet, just like she did.
Good.
Okay, so you can see she's applying very little pressure. There's enough there that's kind of pulling his foot. We see a lot of avoidance here.
Yes, that's what I was just going to say. So she's having to really reach to get the bumper in front of his head.
Good.
So this is the very early stages of fetch. This is like her second or third sessions, but she's really been fighting him. He's not wanted to open his mouth at all, and now this is progress. So she's applying a little bit of pressure. You can see just barely down here.
Tap, tap, tap.
Yep, tap, tap, tap. It doesn't take a lot. This is supposed to be a mild annoyance. It's supposed to be a, hey, hey, hey. She tapped on the table, something to kind of pull his focus back.
Sometimes they get stuck and they just need a little reset.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
And he opened his mouth. Pressure came off.
And then laying down on the table. Now, this is something that I specifically talked to her about after reviewing this. Is we're going to have to get away from this picking him up off the table thing. As you see, we go on. You're going to see him do it multiple times. And this is an avoidance tactic. This is I don't really want to do this anymore. I'm just going to try and lay down to get out of the situation.
And having him move his own feet, redirecting him down the table a little bit, even though he's still hooked up to the end of the table, but just saying, hey, come on, buddy, here. As she would walk down the table a little bit, he'd have to stand up to come with her, even though he can't go all the way down the table because he's still hooked up. It would allow him to stand himself up and move, reset. Dogs that get their feet stuck or kind of frozen, if you can get their feet moving again, that is kind of like their reset button and their brain can start working again.
Absolutely. All right, so she picks him back up, which, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but it's not going to be ideal if it continues. All right, so that right there, okay? He opened his mouth just a little bit, just opened his mouth, and she is what we call feeding him. There's no way that he is reaching and grabbing that, but she's in the stage where this still is progress. She's able to get him to open his mouth and feed it into him. So we're getting reps. Very low pressure, getting reps done, and he's going to start to figure out, hey, this toe hitch thing, this mild annoyance is directly related with grabbing something, and we can shut it off. All right, let's see where this goes from here. We're at 3.5 minutes, approximately 3 minutes into the session. It took about 30 seconds for her to really get going doing something with him once the video started. This is something we talk about a lot with these sessions. They are strictly reps. They are very structured. They are not overly exciting or overly entertaining for the dog themselves. And you see some kind of sourpusses come out in this process. And we recommend keeping sessions really, really short.
Good.
So again, still feeding. She's using a verbal marker of good, which is not a bad thing. That one was a little better. His hold was a little better.
So he's putting more pressure on himself than she truly is because he's trying to get his paw away.
And avoiding, turning away from her. That's all avoidance. It's something that is...
And laying down again.
And laying down again. All of these things are avoidance. Saying, I don't want to do this. I kind of have an understanding of what you're asking, but I just don't want to do it. Fix that toe hitch. Good idea.
Good.
It's a little better.
And I like that she's dropping the string.
Good.
When he is fetching, when he's grabbing the bumper, because that means that pressure comes off. And you know that pressure comes off. If sometimes you leave that string in your hand, you don't necessarily even realize you're still potentially putting a little bit of pressure on their toes, or they pull against it, and then they're still applying more pressure. And this is
sending mixed signals.
Yeah, it's definitely pressure on, pressure off, and the timing, just like in any dog training, has to be really, really good for them to understand what we're trying to teach them.
Yep.
Good.
And I want to say here, like in...
There.
That doesn't look bad. This is where stuff starts to get really good.
Buddy.
She's recognizing she doesn't have focus here. Trying to pull him back to him. Just do something here. Pull his focus away from what he was either stuck on or distracted by.
Hey, Scout.
So we're about 5.5 minutes into the session now.
Yep. All right, watch that. Ooh, look at that. So a little bit of pressure. He's kind of almost reaching for it. There. Did you? Whoa. We got to watch that again. Okay, so this is extremely subtle, but it is a reach. It is compliance. It is acceptance of the fact that we are doing this training, and all of that, even though it's very subtle, is something that you need to recognize as being good here. We'll go back a few seconds.
So probably right in there.
Yeah. Okay, so she's got a little pressure. She gets one kind of open mouth feed.
Look,
there,
he reached.
Right there.
Yep.
Right there. He just reached just a little bit. And that's a big reach.
Good reach.
Yep.
Good job, buddy. He's not avoiding. He's not turning away.
Good.
See, and that bad. That's bad. Now, this is what we're talking about when we see greedy training, or when we even do the greedy training
Sure,
thing.
we're guilty of it. I mean,
yeah. The reason I know how not to be a greedy trainer is because I've been a greedy trainer and I kind of am a greedy trainer. So, but I've learned through years and years and years of what is right and what needs to be continued to push and what doesn't.
And you've gotten really good at reading dogs, and it's very subtle things that you can recognize that not everybody can. That can I push this a little bit further or can I not?
Yep. So in this session, that would have been my end. We are right there at, and I'm going to play it back again because I want you to see the progression. It's about a 1 minute progression of
not even. I would say it's about 30 seconds.
30 seconds. So we
started at
it's right
5:40.
Here. Yeah, it's right here. So it's not even 30 seconds, it's 20 seconds. So this last 20 seconds here. She pulls his focus back to the training session, which is perfect. She moves him around. That redirect here is really good.
Good.
Gets one good one here of a little bit of a feed. That baby
Big
reach. That was the baby reach, but a reach.
Yep.
And then a big reach here. That
Good.
right there. That is where this session should have ended. Now, when we talk about being a greedy trainer and progress in a session.
That was 20 seconds worth of
Yep.
progress right there.
That boom, 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 those 3 reps, that building momentum, that should have been the end of it. Now, when we talk about progress in a training session, it's kind of like a bell curve, if you will. You go up and you peak somewhere in here, and then you start sliding off once you've peaked, which we peaked right here. And then as you are sliding off, you continue to push through a session so that you don't go backwards in your session, but then as you
so you don't go all the way back down to the bottom of that slope so that you can try and climb back up, dig yourself out of the hole you kind of are sliding down into a little bit.
And you'll make a little uptick sometimes, but never have I ever seen you reach where you peaked or surpass that. So it's always important to be able to recognize that point in a training session where you need to be done. And these short sessions are awesome. This would have been a less than 6 minute session. It would have been right at that 5:55.
The sweet spot.
That would have been it. And that would have been a perfect end it and be done.
Especially because as we saw moving up, like getting to that 5.5 minute mark, we saw a lot of avoidance, a lot of feeding that bumper into his mouth. None of that reaching, staying focused, not turning away, not laying down. And she got focus. She got consistent reps and some momentum built in that session.
Some compliance, some cooperation. It was willing to work for it. So
and reaching.
Yep, absolutely. Let's go ahead and watch the rest of this here. There's just 4.5 minutes left-ish. We can kind of see how we go from there. She's back to that avoidance. He's turning away from her.
Good.
She's doing
More
a
feeding.
lot of feeding.
Yep.
He kind of opened his mouth, but he's definitely not reaching for it. He's kind of turning away.
And his hold has gotten a lot sloppier.
And she's chasing him, feeding him. There, that micro movement away is all avoidance. More avoidance when she moved the bumper in front of him, trying to turn his whole body. So now we're just, we're struggling. We're backpedaled here, and we're going to try and work back up that ladder. See, and for me, there's going to be, once we've even peaked to that point, if I made the mistake and said, I think we can do more, and then I'm in this position, which I've been in, there's going to be less praise sense for things because you've already accomplished more. We need to try and,
Good.
you know, like here she's saying good. She's trying to regroup, basically. And she even sent in the message to me. She's like, I saw where I should have stopped, and then it kind of went downhill from there, and then I kind of regrouped. So she saw all of these things. And it's all from being able to video the session, watch it, and then send it over while you do a quick like baby edit of putting these things together.
I know.
I know.
Lots of avoidance. Again.
Lots of avoidance.
Yep.
Now, this is going to be different for every dog. Some dogs are going to avoid to the max. Some dogs are not going to really avoid. They're willing to work. They're willing to please. What did she say?
Have you not seen that before?
That chain, is it new? No, it's an avoidance tactic. Something. Let's pay attention to something else. She's trying to feed. Keep that thing in his focus. It's good.
He opened.
More
back to
avoidance,
laying down again.
Yep.
Oh,
And then
she got
picking
him up pretty quick. Yawning, that's another sign a lot of times that dogs are mentally done.
Mentally stressed, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, stress is an important part of growth. We've talked about that in some other videos, but when you're seeing these signs, a lot of times you're going to get there faster by not continuing to push past this point. Now, this right here is an okay way-ish to try and regroup, but at the same time, this movement that's, okay, let's take a walk, let's take a little breather, a lot of times it's that sign of, I've already gone too far in the training session and I'm trying to regroup and I'm trying to get something out of this, but you have to watch that very closely because that can become a crutch where the dog goes, I don't want to do this anymore, so I'm ready to walk down the table. Anything that's going on that gets them out of or away from that thing that they're avoiding is typically going to strengthen that avoidance behavior.
It's reinforcement-based training, so he will understand if I avoid, if I lay down, if I don't do what I'm asked for long enough, mom will give in and take him for a walk down the table, and I get out of it for a while.
Yep. All right, so she's getting hooked back up.
Good boy.
Also, I understand that she's trying to reset his brain a little bit, give him a second to regroup.
Another yawn. Yep.
So
Yawn,
she can
yawn,
make some
yawn.
progress up again.
These are all very subtle things to keep an eye on when you're working with your own dog.
Where you going?
And this is where, this last little bit, she starts to see just a little bit more progress again.
So that reset, walking up and down the table for him in this situation might have been a good thing for him to get back to where he needed to be.
Maybe.
Laid down.
Maybe I'm mistaken.
I know you can do this. You were doing so well.
Yep, she recognized he was doing well, and now we're not. We just see avoidance.
Beep, beep.
Beep.
Good.
We've all been there, folks. We've all been there. It's not...
She kept her cool really, really well.
Because this is frustrating.
Good.
And
It's like, you have already shown me you know how to do this. Why are you now saying you don't want to do this?
And there's always the potential of being a little frustrated with yourself, too, because you know, oh, we were doing good. Why did I try for more?
Yep.
Hold.
See how sloppy that looks. I mean, he just is to that point where we're just kind of barely getting anything. And I think this is where
She looks
she
like
ends the
she's
session.
about calling
Yep.
it.
So I think that is, that's the end. And again, this is very important. She picked the dog up, lifted him off the table backward, and that is the end of the session. So we don't need to see that again. So to recap, folks, she really did a good job overall. And it's just important, and she's seeing the importance of keeping those sessions short, getting a little bit of progress, seeing some progress, and ending the session. She got to that point where she peaked, she fell off that curve, and then she kind of got to like here. You know, this is your peak up here, and she ended the session here, which was not at rock bottom where she started, but at the same time, it was in that zone where it wasn't where she wanted to be, you know? Yeah. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, you're working through your sessions, try and get a little bit of progress. I think this is a number one thing that people make mistakes of, is they get greedy.
And they overdo it, or they think this is exciting, this is fun, or they think, well, this is only a 5-minute training session. This can't be enough. I can't have accomplished anything in 5 minutes. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. We see that with little puppies a lot of times with playing retrieving games too. They get burnt out really quickly. They have low, short amount of focus, and doing too much too soon, trying to cram it all in, you burn them out.
So folks, this is what it looks like. We got to review this session. I kind of typed out these notes to her specifically to help her to progress in her training. We want to say thank you for her volunteering or allowing us to utilize this video to share with y'all. And
I just wanted to throw in too, one other option that we do have on our Patreon platform is we actually have live consults available to set up where we would actually be watching this session and we could say, wait, you're making progress, you need to stop. And we could have chimed in at that moment so that she wouldn't have had to fall off the edge of that bell curve to then work her way back up. Because sometimes, though we're able to review these sessions and give really good feedback, the session's already happened. Had we been able to just jump in at the moment that it was happening, we could have potentially helped not slide down the slope.
Absolutely. That's all we've got for this one, folks. Thanks for watching. I'm the guy with the pink gun.
I'm Kat, the dog trainer.
And we will see you in the next video.